Hello, 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 the mask is back, and as you could see by the thumbnail, or even the title probably, I'm pretty mad with this result. I picked some underdogs, and so I thought, you know what, Joaquin Buckley, everyone's picking him, it seems like a safe pick, and then no, the pick that I was going to go for, originally, before the video, it actually happened to be right. Kamaru Usman got the job done dominantly. Now, I didn't think he would get it done with grappling, but for the whole lead up, even in a UFC video, in the comment section, you could see, maybe you can't now because it's not got a lot of likes and it's been buried under a lot of other comments. But I said he's like a worse version, referring to Buckley. He's like a worse version of Hamzat with none of the attributes. And this is full camp, not on short notice. Hamzat's like way better than a Joaquin Buckley on the feet and on the ground especially. And so I was thinking like, oh, this is just an easier version of the Hamzat fight. And I was right. But I still picked Buckley because I didn't want to be wrong if any of my underdog picks like Petrosky, Garbrandt, and Durden happened to be wrong, which they were. So it kind of backfired, honestly, because I thought that this was a safe pick. But I mean, this is also a full card predictions or recap, rather, of my predictions. And we're just going to jump into it. I'm going to be quick with all these so I could get back to the main event because, as you could tell, I have a lot to say about that. And I've said a lot already, but I want to continue on that right after all these fights I recap. And we're going to begin with Jamie Lynn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. Pretty easy to predict. She's just way bigger, way stronger, way faster, way more just physically imposing. I mean, you look at the reach advantage, Vanessa didn't really have any moments, anything significant. Jamie Lynn Horth just used her size to her advantage, the ground game, the striking, everything she has over Vanessa Demopoulos. So this was just a no-brainer pick, and decision made sense because, most of the time that's how these kinds of fights go. Especially the first fight on the card. They're usually a decision as well. I mean, women's MMA fight, first fight on the card, it's a no-brainer. It's going to be a decision. This one wasn't quite a no-brainer, but I'm glad I got this anyway. I wasn't quite expecting a finish, although in hindsight I should have because round three, I mean, not just round three. It was round three, but in all his fights, it doesn't matter if it's round three or round one or round two. Phil Rowe always gets a finish if he wins. Angelusa, he has a hard head, so I thought that he wouldn't, be too susceptible to the power of Phil Rowe. I think he, in hindsight, didn't have as good of a chin as I thought, considering that he ended up getting a lot of shots eaten by a Brian Battle, by a Jack Della Maddalena, who are volume strikers for the most part. And so this, in hindsight, made a little more sense than I thought, but in actuality, I thought maybe he would stuff the takedowns, land the bigger shots, but Angelusa would survive to the bell. But as you could see, it wasn't quite enough. His chin wasn't quite enough for Phil Rowe's shots that he landed. And yeah, he just finished him. I mean, as you could see by the Tabology picks, most people were picking decision, and I think that's a fair pick. And all that being said, yeah, I mean, I knew that this was a good underdog because Angelusa, he doesn't really have he has okay boxing, but it's certainly nothing like Phil Rowe's long, rangy 1-2s, uppercuts, hooks all around. He's just a better striker, and he utilizes his reach much better than Angelusa utilizes his attributes. He was utilizing his grappling decently, but it wasn't enough to, keep Phil Rowe from landing the shots he needed. It was just too much in the end of the day. In the end of the day. Ricky Simone, Cameron Smotherman. This was pretty easy. I mean, there were a few people that were considering a Cameron Smotherman pick or saying that, oh, this will actually be more competitive or he needs to watch out on the striking against Cameron Smotherman. And in actuality, it was actually really quite even on the feet until the third round. As you could see in the decision, the fact that it was a decision, I didn't get the submission that I was expecting. I was surprised that Ricky Simone not quite having the submission attempts in those grappling sequences that I was expecting him to have. I was seeing this play out a little more differently with him maybe going for guillotines like I said in the prediction video, as I've seen in the past, especially against Merab Dvalishvili. That one's the first one that comes to mind, but also others against Reni Yahya, I'm pretty sure. He's had some guillotines, so I was expecting him to go for that a little more, but he was mostly just kind of using ground control, little pitter pat shots against the fence on the ground when it got there. He had a nice slam, but otherwise it wasn't too effective. And on the feet, it was actually Ricky Simone early on that was landing some decent shots. And then Cameron Smotherman came back in the third, realizing that he was down on the scorecards and actually landed on the second half of the third round the more significant strikes. But overall, I think that that was also a pretty 50-50 round. I'm not mad at the 30-27 here. I was expecting a little bit more aggressiveness on the ground from Ricky Simone, but otherwise, yeah, this was a pretty much what you'd expect from this fight and this performance. Jose Ochoa, yeah, I mean, this is a pretty obvious prediction if you were going to assume that Cody Durden wasn't going to get the takedowns. I was assuming that Cody Durden was going to be able to, not only that, but also mix it up with dirty boxing. And unfortunately, even though he had a few moments, I think he almost dropped him with a hook at the end of the first round. But unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough because Jose Ochoa, he then came back with beautiful kicks, beautiful straight punches down the pipe, and he put out Cody Durden pretty much. It wasn't quite like a out cold, but he put him out pretty bad. Or not put him out, but you get what I'm saying. It was pretty close to a flatline KO. It was pretty brutal. And yeah, if you were going to pick Jose Ochoa, I'm surprised that most people were picking decision. You should pick a KO if you're picking Jose Ochoa here because Cody Durden isn't the most defensively responsible. He's okay there, but really he's just like a much worse version of a Joshua Van, who, yes, did actually beat Jose Ochoa, but I mean, like I said, he's much worse version, and on top of that, he wasn't really going to his grappling, which is what I was expecting him to use to get the win, to mix it up more. But he wasn't really doing that. He was doing that a little bit when things got a little more hairy, but it wasn't enough for him when it got there. So yeah, it was a little too much too late, and even then, I don't know if he would have gotten the takedowns. Jose Ochoa's takedown defense looked pretty decent as well. So yeah, I mean, good performance from him. Unfortunately, I didn't get that underdog though. But Malcolm Wallmaker, Chris Moutinho, yeah, this is pretty spectacular at the KO. I think that, to be honest though, Sean O'Malley kind of softened up the chin of Chris Moutinho. You look at Malcolm Wallmaker, he was mostly just throwing hooks. The check hook got him, but I mean, he doesn't really show a lot of different tools in his bag. His hands are really good, accurate. He has good defense on the head movement. Doesn't pull up his guard too much, but his head movement and his shoulder rolls are insane. He has really good counters, like I said. But Chris Moutinho, he was landing a few straight punches, nothing that would really deter Malcolm Wellmaker from actually landing the shots he needed to. But in the future, I honestly don't think that Malcolm Wellmaker can get past like a Marcus McGee level type of thing, like a top 12. I think that's the farthest his potential is. I think that he's a little too one-dimensional from what I've seen to actually prove that he is at that level. Championship material. Chris Moutinho just came back into the UFC. He did have a five-fight win streak, all by finishes, but it wasn't quite that high caliber that really proves that Malcolm Wellmaker is that guy. But I mean, yeah, it's a great performance. Definitely one of the best knockouts of the year. It's just against who, right? And I think that's like I said, Sean O'Malley kind of softened him up for him. And then Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. Yeah, this is honestly a pretty easy one. That was honestly kind of underwhelming though. I mean, Michael Chiesa was just not really impressing on the striking, and I was expecting him to grapple a little more as well. A lot of these guys I was expecting to grapple more. And yeah, I understand that on the shots that he did take, he wasn't really successful, so he just thought, oh, you know what, maybe I'll just strike more. But he actually was mostly trying for it in the third round, so you can't really make that excuse with this fight. But Court McGee, yeah, he was just kind of floating around as an NPC there. He was just kind of going forward in these like really unathletic blitzes with hooks and stuff. Sometimes he'd throw some straight shots, but mostly hooks. And Michael Chiesa was landing with the more straight punches. Overall, it was a pretty 50-50 fight until the third round, where I'm pretty sure Michael Chiesa was winning off of some clinch exchanges where he actually tried to shoot and it didn't really work, but he was just landing some uh, total strikes. They were just tallying up to his favor, some points in his favor there. And, it was a pretty uneventful fight. Mostly just 50-50 in the first two rounds. And the third round was clearly Chiesa's. So you might as well give him 29-28. 30-27 is a little egregious, I think. I don't think he deserves 30-27. And honestly, I think you give him Danish Dynamite. His name is kind of Nicholas Dalby, there you go. his name was kind of fading from memory, but yeah, I think that's a good fight. Mekel might lose that because he doesn't have that good striking. He looked honestly better in the Max Griffin fight, so not a great look. And yeah, another not great look. Speaking of Rodolfo Bellato, Gelato Beach, he definitely looked like embarrassing there. He against Paul Craig wasn't really throwing much on the feet, and when it got to the ground, he faked a illegal up kick KO. He was like faking that he actually got KO'd. Honestly, until the replay happened, it looked like he was. He looked like he was knocked out. In the fast full action, no replay, no slow mo. In the fast flow of the fight, it looked like he actually got KO'd in my opinion. But when you see it in the actual second replay or the first replay, whatever, yeah, it was pretty clear that he faked it. I mean, the dude literally, it was hilarious watching it the first time around. He was like, he protested to the ref that he got upkicked, and then he faked being knocked out as he went down. Like he couldn't make this up. It was like something from like Tom and Jerry or something. I mean, he was literally like protesting with his hands up in the air, like what? And then he like falls to the ground. You look at the replay, he doesn't even slam his head to the ground. It's like only his back slams to the ground, and his head's perfectly fine. It doesn't slam down, and he's like. He shuts his eyes and then he looks to the referee. Clearly, that's the referee, and he's trying to like fight off of him with like a triangle or something. He's like trying to, or like a leg lock. It was really weird stuff, and yeah, quite embarrassing from him. I was actually expecting more from him. I was thinking he could maybe crack top 15 maybe one day, but yeah, he's not got a good chin. He honestly, the fact that he wasn't even throwing against Paul Craig on the feet, embarrassing. Wasn't able to get anything off on the ground, and he got freaking up kicked, and then he faked it, like embarrassing. Dude's never gonna be anything in the UFC. Honestly, I'm quite disappointed. And Alonzo Menifield, Umar Sy. Yeah, Umar Sy, embarrassing as well. Another one, another huge favorite. Disappointing here. Alonzo Menifield, he was timing his blitzes really good. His hooks, even some straight punches, pretty impressive. If we're coming from Alonzo Menifield, he doesn't normally throw straight down the pipe too often. He was really tidying things up here. It looked like vintage Alonzo Menifield, whereas Umar Sy, I was expecting him to grapple more. He was mostly just throwing these like flimsy shots that weren't really reaching the target. He was really not throwing enough either, similar to Rodolfo Bellato, Gelato Beach. Uh, it just sounds funny calling him Gelato Beach because yeah, it sounds similar. But Rodolfo Gelato Beach, similarly to Umar Sy, he wasn't throwing much, not a lot, single shots, and even when he was throwing single shots, it clearly wasn't enough. And again, I was expecting him to grapple more because even though, yes, he was kind of like, oh, this methodical kickboxer, he was looked at as well going into this. He was also known as a grappler. You look at Tuco Toko's fight. I know that was short notice, but he didn't even really try that much until later on, if even that. And, on top of this, it's like he's like trying to look pretty out there. People were talking about Patchy Mix, like he was trying to look menacing out there. He was trying to look like a finesseful kickboxer against Mario Batista. Patchy Mix looked way better compared to Umar Sy there. Umar Sy was like looking like a statue, trying to like, look like one of these medieval statues, one of these like Roman philosopher statues out there. That's what Umar Sy was trying to look like. He was like just standing there, not really doing much. He was trying to look more pretty than actually throw anything. And he looked neither. He didn't look nice throwing any of the combinations, and he didn't throw any either. So, I mean, it was just like a total embarrassment all around. He didn't even do the patchy mix, okay? He didn't even look the part of trying to look menacing to, maybe sway the judges off of like a, oh, I'm looking more impressive in what I'm doing, even though he's not. Mansour Abdul Malik and Cody Bumditch actually should have won this, to be honest. And honestly, we should be calling Mansour Abdul Malik the bum here because honestly, I thought he lost the first two rounds. That's embarrassing on the judges' end that they gave two of them gave Mansour Abdul Malik both of the first two rounds. I mean, come on, you're not even going to give him Cody Brundage one of the first two rounds. It was pretty clear that Cody Brundage was actually kind of styling on Mansour Abdul Malik. pretty impressive from him and unimpressive from Mansour Abdulmalik because I was expecting him to land some really fast, sharp, powerful straight shots down the pipe, not as much hooks, and not waiting for his moments as much. He was waiting for the counter shot, the perfect counter shots, way too much. Whereas Cody Brundage was happy to play that game where he was waiting on Mansour to throw, and then he would throw with his own fast, little like 1-2, just good straight punches, good hooks on the invasive, or not invasive, but what I mean, on the invasion, or what am I trying to say? He was evading. There we go. He was evading these powerful shots that Mansour Abdul Malik was loading up on, and then countering with his own. He was evading and countering quite well here. And ultimately, in the third round, I guess you could give that to Mansour Abdulmalik, sure, but it only lasted for about a minute. And Cody Brundage really, he deserved a DQ win, I feel, because Mansour Abdulmalik, honestly, he deserved it, not freaking Rodolfo Gelato Beach. Because Cody Brundage, he literally had nothing to do with this. He just got freaking hit with a head clash, and Mansour Abdulmalik clearly did that with like malicious intent. He was like following up with, follow up ground and pound, and it's like, I feel like he knew what he was doing there. Like that knee looked so misplaced, looked like it didn't even land. Honestly, I thought that Cody Brundage, if this went to a technical decision, at the very least it should have went to Cody Brundage. Honestly, maybe I shouldn't be calling him Cody Bumdage anymore because he's in his prime and he's beating up on these prospects, it seems. And even Julian Marquez, the GOAT. Cody Garbrandt, not Bumdage anymore. No, no more Cody Bumdage. Versus Raoni Barcelos. I mean, and he's not a bum anymore. I mean, look, he beat Mansour Abdulmalik. What more can you ask for? He's not a bum. And he kind of just ragdolled Bo Nickel, bought Nickel as well. So I mean, he's not Cody Bumdage anymore. But Raoni Barcelos kind of just out-grappled and outstruck in a few moments Cody Garbrandt. I mean, I knew Raoni Barcelos would actually kind of keep it 50-50 on the feet, and then where he needed to, make sure he gets the W, he goes to the grappling, because we know he's better there. But I thought that Cody Garbrandt would have the explosive takedown defense enough, and I also thought that he would go for the finish when he dropped Raoni Barcelos there. And unfortunately, he was trying to look all fancy schmancy as well out there, like Umar Sy. He was like doing the emotes, what bedtime MMA talking about is true. Like bro's trying to emote out there. It's like, bro, you gotta win the fight first, okay? As long as you're up on the scorecards, you could do that all day. But like, if the dudes got dropped and you're not sure if you're going to get the finish here, and this guy's got good grappling and he could get a good comeback, make sure you get the freaking job done before you emote. I mean, this was a frustrating performance from Cody Garbrandt. I mean, I knew that Raoni Barcelos had the better striking, but he was a little slower for sure. Cody Garbrandt's attributes are definitely much higher than Raoni Barcelos here. The fast, like powerful hooks. It's like Cody Garbrandt doesn't have great straight punches, but what he does have, when it lands, it's vicious. And yeah, I thought that in the first round, oh, it's over for him, but no. As soon as it went to the second round, I knew it was over for Cody Garbrandt because he was just not throwing. I mean, this is the problem with all these guys I picked that were losing, and all these people that just looked super mediocre on the main card, and the all the way from Bellato to Petrosky. It was just like they weren't throwing, they weren't doing anything. They were being NPCs out there. So yeah, I mean, good performance from Ronnie Barcelos. I was going to pick him if I knew that Garbrandt wasn't gonna get the finish. But honestly, I've seen Ronnie Barcelos get clipped by like a sort of average Joe Power Umar Nurmagomedov, not even that well set up, not even that much load up or telegraph or whatever, not even that much swing in it, not even like an overhand, just like a little short left hook from Umar Nurmagomedov just clips Ronnie Barcelos and knocks him out. So I thought that Cody Garbrandt's power would be enough, but no, I mean, not quite. I mean, Ronnie Barcelos is good. He's really good, and that's kind of just showing how good Umar Nurmagomedov is, and then showing how good the goat Murad Davalishvili is. I mean, truly the goat of the sport, Murad Davalishvili. But moving on, Edmund Shabazian and Andre Petrosky. I mean, yeah, this is exactly how it would have went if Andre Protarsky couldn't get the takedowns and Edmund Shabazian had good cardio. And he did. I didn't really expect him to have that good of a cardio, and it wasn't really that good because you got to keep in mind, even in older fights, you look at Andre Protarsky's career, he throws like 70 strikes in an entire fight. Not even lands, just throws 70. And you look at some other people, they throw like 500 in a fight. These are not like the top guys. Like Max Holloway can throw sometimes like what, 3,000 in a fight? Something crazy like that. Yeah, Andre Protarsky on a good day throws 70 strikes in a round. I just thought that he would land the more significant strikes and then lead it into some average Joe Schmo, like grappling exchanges to where he gets him on the ground, just kind of lays and prays on Edmund Shabazian and wins rounds off control time. But Edmund Shabazian had a really good jab. I thought that he didn't really show that too much in his past in his career, and he definitely improved in that aspect. I mean, Andre Protarsky looked like a fish out of water in the striking. He was getting dazed in moments, rocked, wobbled, you name it. I mean, Andre Protarsky was just not really landing too much. He landed some wild Ofi overhands and hooks, but nothing really significant to Edmund. He was mostly just piecing him up with a jab, and I was kind of surprised that he went away from that in the second and the third, but then he used leg kicks. Then he went to the body, and that was really doing good for him against Andre Petrosky, really showing his well-rounded experience, Edmund Shabazian. And I think that he has potential too. Never get the bell, obviously, but I think he does actually have potential chance to get back into the maybe top 15, top 10, maybe even. I think 10 might be a little hard for him, but top 15, honestly, he's showing his veteran experience at 27 years old. He got into this early, he got in at like 20, and so he's 27 now. I think that he has some still uh, good matchups and good learning blocks experience. You know what I mean. Like this dude's 27. He's learning how to jab. I mean, this kid's gonna be a world champion. Okay. No, but moving on. Rose Namajunas, Miranda Maverick. I mean, he's good. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of what I expected. Your average women's MMA fight, Rose Namajunas was just kind of piecing her up on the feet for the most part. And when it came to the grappling, yeah, it was pretty close, and I mean, I think that there's certainly an argument for the second round, with no question. But I think that Rose Namajunas was winning the majority of that round, so I can understand why people were giving Rose Namajunas, or the judges in particular, were giving Rose Namajunas. At least two of them gave Rose Namajunas second round, because Miranda Maverick, even though she finished strong with a good arm, I think was it an arm triangle? I think it was like, yeah, an arm triangle or something like that. Uh, I don't actually remember if it was an arm triangle, but she got close with her submission there at the end, and then Rose Namajunas escaped and then got on top and landed a couple pitter pat shots on top. But ultimately, like Rose Namajunas had 4 minutes and a bit of that round in the bag. She had more control time. She had submission that she was working on of her own. She got the back, I'm pretty sure. She had more moments, and so I think that overall 30-27 is fair. She clearly won the third round. She dropped her first round. It was pretty close, but I think you edged Rose Namajunas the round because she was just doing a little bit more. Yeah, Miranda Maverick maybe landed a few that were a little more significant, but I mean, it's women's MMA. There was no danger there. There was no, oh, she is closer to ending the fight with those shots. No, it was like 2% more effective. So if you look at the overall numbers, I think it's pretty clear Rose landed overall more there. I mean, maybe the UFC numbers have it different, but from what I saw, she was landing more there. So, I mean, look, it's maybe an argument for 29-28, okay? But I thought that round 1 and 3 were pretty clear roses, and even round 2, you could argue, goes to her. And then the main event, what we came here for, okay? Joaquin Buckley, Kamaru Usman. Now, like I said, I was picking him, and you'll find maybe not, maybe you won't find it because I don't even know where it is. But in a freaking, I think it was like an announcement thing for, it was like a YouTube short announcement for UFC Atlanta, Georgia, Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley from the UFC official webpage, or YouTube channel. He literally, I literally put on the comment section like Hamzat Chimaev is a better version of Joaquin Buckley. Kamaru Usman has an easy win here. And I wasn't expecting the grappling to be the end result of Kamaru Usman's win, but I certainly thought that he was going to win with the 1-2. I thought that he was a way better maybe not in the pocket, obviously. Joaquin Buckley showed in the fifth round that he was better there. but a way better at range, a way stronger, beefier, like muscular grappler. And I knew that that was certainly a possibility here. I mean, I even saw, like, watching Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. I literally said this to myself before I made the prediction video. I watched Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley. I was like, oh man, short notice, second round, Colby Covington off the couch, who is clearly out of this now. He's doing freaking Twitch live streams or whatever it is. He's like, oh, for a full minute, he gets down Joaquin Buckley in side control, and Joaquin Buckley just uses pure physicality. And this is Colby Covington, like I said, off the couch, who clearly doesn't have physicality for 170, not anymore. This is Joaquin Buckley coming down from 185, and then this is Kamaru Usman, also in his last fight coming from 185, full training camp, fully prepared. This is completely different. He actually looked built for this, and he looked like he was back in his physical prime there. I'm surprised guys like Weasel, for example, are saying, "Oh my gosh, for Kamaru Usman to come out here and dominate like he did when he's not even in his prime anymore." Dude looked the exact same. Aside from the fact that he actually shot double legs, he actually looked better. I don't think that he looked like he was out of his prime here, Weasel. Like, what are you talking about? Dude actually shot full-on takedowns. And Joaquin Buckley could have actually defended a few of those takedowns. Like, yes, some of them, it was pretty hard for him to defend, especially since he was throwing with full force, and he definitely should have tidied that up. Like against Colby Covington, you could get away with that because Colby doesn't have these explosive shots, and he doesn't have as good of a timing, I don't think, especially off the couch, short notice. And with the broken foot, he gets more injuries these days, after the Leon Edwards fight. But, I mean, look, ultimately, I predicted this. I picked Buckley because I thought that he was the better boxer, which he was, and he only showed that in the fifth round, though. That's the problem. That's a problem. It's like these guys that they're going up a weight class, they're going down a weight class, or it's a different. It's a layoff. He's been out for 2-3 years. It felt like for Kamaru Usman, 2 years it really was. But I mean, Joaquin Buckley, it's hard to predict when these guys have layoffs or weight class differentials. Joaquin Buckley really looks like he was a 155er out there, if I'm going to be completely honest. And he is a welterweight, that is his weight class. But Kamaru Usman, showing why he's a great grappler. He still loses to Bilal Muhammad. He still loses to Leon Edwards. He still loses to oh, JDM. That's a horrible matchup for him. He loses to Sean Brady, I think. Although that one's a little bit more interesting. But he's still showing why he's at the top of the levels of the UFC. He's at the top. He's winning at what, almost 40, 38 and a month. So, I mean, clearly this dude is getting wins at 38 impressively. 48, what was it, like 49, 46? Maybe you could argue like 49, 45, something like that, maybe, with one of the rounds being a 10-8. I mean, this is adding to his legacy, no question. And look, as much as I'm mad about this, which I am, I think that Joaquin Buckley could have stuffed some of the takedowns, and he was getting way too wild with the striking. These hooks and the uppercuts that he was throwing, it did not look like the same kind he was throwing against Colby Covington, which, okay, maybe it's just because Kamaru Usman has better head movement, better evasive movement, and all that's also probably true. And it was like full camp, it wasn't short notice, but I mean, still, Joaquin Buckley just. He also looked bad here. Kamaru Usman looked really good. He looked better than his prime, and Joaquin Buckley looked worse, honestly. I mean, he was way too wild here. In the fifth round, he actually showed some good takedown defense, but he just wasn't doing that early on, so I don't know what that was. Was he like, I don't know, okay, I'm going to stall out this round, and then, I understand, like I said, a few of these takedowns he couldn't really avoid, but there were a few where he actually had some chances to then put some things together on the feet, and he was really actually hurting Usman in moments. It's just that it wasn't enough to make up for the 4 minutes of control and decent damage that Kamaru Usman was doing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to actually trust my gut more in the future. I mean, I was literally picking like Gary versus Prates, Imava versus Adesanya, but all the Marab championship fights. I was picking these things. What's another one? Brady versus Edwards. I was picking these mostly because of the grappling, and I was saying, oh, well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think he's going to be able to get the takedowns. I was picking these guys based off of the fact that, oh, I don't think they're going to be able to utilize their grappling. I just got to go with my gut more often, honestly, because I got to stop being swayed by these other MMA YouTubers. Like, everybody was picking Joaquin Buckley. I knew that Kamaru Usman was going to win, and oh man, it's just it's like I'm literally always right about these ones. These ones where I'm like on the fence about it, but you know what? I'm gonna go with the younger guy. I'm gonna go with all these attributes. It's like no, no, go with the style that makes sense, and that's what I'm gonna do from now on. I'm gonna take this knowledge that this gave me. This is a learning lesson, and you know what? I'm gonna go into this freaking Khalil Roundtree versus Jamal Hill card, I'm gonna get at least a 10 out of 13. Or was it 12 now? I think it's like 12 fights on that card. I'm gonna get at least better than this card. I have to do that much because this was a little pathetic. 7. I normally get 9 out of whatever it is on the card. That's my average, it seems. 7 out of 13. You know, I need to pick up again. Even my last card, I think, was something like 6 out of something. Not good, not good. I got to catch up, but you know what? It is what it is. Like I said, learning experience. I'm going to make sure to trust the veterans more often. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Mask of MMA out.